Phil here with the sailing vessel Dream Chaser. And in last week's episode, you saw us start removing the teak from the deck of the boat and taking the salvageable sections and putting them over to my storage unit just to go ahead and keep them in case I want to use them for accent pieces down the road. This week's episode, we're going to pick up where we left off, and we'll start with cleaning up the mess I left on the deck.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. And here's what she looks like with at least most of it ripped up. Screws aren't out yet. That took about 30 or, well, maybe 50 or 100 out already. But I'm going to sweep up some of the debris. A lot of little pieces like this, but the teak just stuck between a couple of screw heads, so breaking that apart. Sweep it up a little easier.
Now that we went ahead and swept up the deck and hauled everything away in dustpans and trash bags, it was now time to start removing the screws that were left in the deck as I pulled that teak up.
Yep, we pulled out the teak from the coach house to the bow. Shade there. Up the center line, all the way up into the anchor lock. I just counted some boards and screws. And I calculated there's 922 screws to remove. 922! Eh! I thought I'd go ahead and do a close-up here of this this screw. So all I'm doing is taking my vice grips, clamping it right down on it, and then rotating them around. You want to do it fairly straight to try and avoid the bronze screw breaking, because a lot of them are pretty fragile. That point it's out. All set. Now we're just going to start working on each of these screws, and once you get the vice grips adjusted for each type, it's not too bad, but just twist them right on out.
Tiring and pain in the ass.
Hey, the good news is there was only 922, and I think we're down to about 150 to go. In the home stretch, baby.
Stop filming and start unscrewing then, babe.
Oh yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Well, I think I know here what everybody ultimately wants to see, and that is they want to see me drill holes in the side of my boat. Nobody wants to drill holes in their own boat, so let's watch me do it, which I get. I would have liked to have seen somebody do it in their boat before me doing it. So you'll see here, I'm actually just using a really cheap hole saw set from Harbor Freight. So I think I probably paid under $5 for this whole set. I'm using an 1.5 inch hole here, I believe, on this one. And you know, the big question is really going to be, what is the core made of? Is it balsa or plywood? And away we go. So before I actually start drilling the holes, I really need to figure out where is it I want to drill them. So what you're going to see me do here is a tap test. This is the same thing that a boat surveyor does or a marine surveyor does when they're testing the hull for delamination. They have a small hammer designed for this, and they'll tap along the hull, and they're listening for a different sound in the pitch. And you're going to see me do the same thing. I didn't have one of those hammers. I just used a metal crowbar. It was fine for what I was doing. But what you'll notice is as I go through this process, you'll hear me hitting the deck. You hear tap, 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 thud, thud. And when you hear that thud, what it means is essentially it's not solid right there. So if you think about it, I have a piece of fiberglass here. I have core material and another piece of fiberglass on top of it. Those should all be tightly bound together. So when you're tapping, let's see, my thumb's my hammer. When you're tapping, tap, 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 it sounds very solid. If, for example, that core is either rotted or it's starting to separate, let's say it's lifted up a little bit and there's a separation there, what you'll hear is tap, 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 thud, thud, thud. Makes a very different sound when this is not solid as opposed to tap, tap, thud, thud. So in this video, you're going to see us go ahead and do that tap test, and really what I'm looking for is where is the spot I want to drill a hole so I can start to see what that core material is made of there and if it's wet or if it's rotted. You'll notice as I go through this, as I get closer to the tow rail near the coach house is where you'll hear the difference in pitch. There.
Got this pulled out of here, and surprisingly the core seems pretty good. I'm a little shocked. So maybe it's delaminated but not bad. I don't believe it's, oh yeah, it's wet, never mind. Yeah, look at that. If I squeeze on it you can actually see water come out. See that? However, the interesting thing is that ain't plywood. That's actually solid. It's not end-grain balsa either.
So now I've got these holes in the boat, and the reality is I'm not going to finish this project today or next week. Heck, it could be 2 months before I actually finish pulling up all the teak, filling in all the screw holes, fixing any delamination or core rot that may be in place. So it's going to be a little while, and I need a solution that's not going to allow more water to get into the deck. So in addition to filling all of the screw holes with epoxy, I also now need to fill in these big holes I've drilled, these exploratory holes. So what you're going to see me do here is mix up an epoxy mixture that I'm going to pour into those 1.5-inch holes. At the end of the day, this will all be covered over with a whole nother layer of fiberglass and epoxy as I finish up the deck. But right now, I want to make sure that water is not penetrating into those openings and frankly causing more issues with any kind of challenge I might already have with the deck itself.
I've been using the West epoxy system, so I have the 105 resin and the 209 hardener, which is the clear hardener. I actually had this clear one left over from another project I did, so I figured I would use it up. I like to use just like a red Solo cup. In this case, I'm using a clear one. I'm not mixing up a whole lot of it, so I'm just putting in this case, 2 pumps of the resin and 2 pumps of the hardener, and now it's time to mix these up. So for the ones I'm putting in with the syringe, I'm leaving it very liquidy here. I'm just getting one of my stir sticks to mix it up.
So my camera battery actually died while I was mixing up this epoxy. In the next video, I'll go ahead and mix up some more to fill another hole, and I'll show you exactly how I mixed up the resin, and then ultimately how I used a thickener to get it to a thicker consistency and then put it down into the exploratory holes. I can show you a little bit of footage of what it looked like after that, and a little bit of rain we had, so I can tell if it worked okay.
That's good. What that means is it's not seeping in. So, mission accomplished.
I hope you found this video useful. Again, this is number 2 in the series. I don't know exactly how many there will be. In the next one, we're going to go ahead and pull up either some more teak, or we may actually cut some larger exploratory holes in the deck to really take a look at the core. So, not exactly sure. Kind of depends on what I decide to do when I get up there and start working.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for weekly updates and like this video.